Hey y'all, I am really excited about this video because it's something brand new that I've never tried before, and so you are seeing it start to finish. This is called a linoleum cut, and for short they usually say Lino cut, and it's this piece of linoleum and you basically carve it kind of like a stamp. So I've seen it before, but I saw it most recently from a class that I had taken at Jean Oliver's site. And so I wanted to try my hand at it. It looked fun. I've loved carving things. It's a funny story. The first time that I ever carved a pumpkin was actually as an adult, because in our home as children we weren't allowed to carve pumpkins for like Halloween. And so as an adult I was like, pumpkins are in season, they're selling them, I would like to try. And I carved my first pumpkin, which was actually a portrait of Edward and Bella from Twilight, and I had so much fun with it, and people were amazed that I never had carved a pumpkin before. And it was true, I truly never carved a pumpkin before, but I took all these sculpting tools from like clay sculpting, and I used those tools. And then my second pumpkin I carved was an owl. So I've only carved 2 pumpkins in my life, but the ones that I have carved are pretty fun, and I can include them in the description area here. So I figured, you know what, I might be all right at this carving Lino cut thing. And the beautiful thing about these Lino cuts is you can make prints, like several prints with one of these blocks that have been carved with your art. And so I decided to try. The block I think was around $4 or $5, and then the carving tools I think were $19, and I used my 40% off coupon. I always use coupons. I never like to buy things full price if I don't have to. This little kit of carving tools, it was a speedball, and it came with 5 tips, and then that little red handle actually opens up, it unscrews there at the end, and you can put your tips in. The one thing that I kept forgetting was how dangerous this could be if you actually put your hand in front there. Like a lot of times that tool will kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It loses the grip and kind of flings forward. So you never, ever, ever want to put your hand in front of it. I think that was the most challenging thing for me. It wasn't too hard to cut into it. This piece actually took me 3 hours. So you'll see, like in some of the shots, there will be a chunk of stuff already done because I didn't want to have you sit here and watch every single little cut that I made. My hand was hurting pretty bad after cutting this. Some people take, do it all in one take, and some people do it over time. I just really wanted to get it done because I was excited, and I'm really sorry for having some of this out of frame too. But yeah, so this tool, it's got different tips, and right now I'm using the biggest one, and that's for kind of carving out big chunks. So it works very similar to a stamp. Anything that you carve away is going to be white on the paper, and everything that's raised that will have the ink on it, of course, will have ink and it'll be on the paper. So it's kind of, your brain has to work differently to see. You have to see things in reverse. this is oddly satisfying. It's like one of those oddly satisfying videos that you find on Instagram, just like watching the linoleum being cut away. So if anyone else agrees that this is oddly satisfying, let me know in the comments. I just love the way that looks after you've taken those chunks out. But can you imagine taking, like, oh my gosh, the whole time I was thinking, don't stick my hand, don't stick my hand. I don't want a chunk of my hand missing, you know, because you do kind of have to put a little bit of effort into it to get those carvings out. This is a smaller tip that I used for more details. I think my favorite tips that I used were the number 2. The 1 was nice for details, and the number 5. The number 3 was weird. It was a lot harder to use. I also took into consideration that I did want some like kind of messy lines and not having it all perfect, because in my art I already have messy lines, so I did leave some stuff raised that wasn't a part of my drawing. After doing this Lino cut, I would say I would definitely do it again. I would probably carve it not in one sitting. I would like to try an 8x10 eventually. I think with this one, the challenge for me was not only trying to make sure my hand wasn't in the way, but the face, like you'll see here, the face was so small. And to get the details that I needed in the face, I was really concerned that it was just going to be this big mess. I wasn't sure how it would look at the end. Of course, this is my first time. And now that I've done it once, I know that I really didn't have to go as deep as I did. So I could probably add a lot more details next time. And I think also because this is a 5x7 block, so that little face is like seriously an inch that I'm working with. So it was really difficult to carve out, and you'll see like I slice through some stuff, and I'm just like, I try not to care. I don't know, it was a very interesting experience. It was a lot of fun, and I really liked the end result. I think the face was also challenging, again, trying to see things reversed, like everything that I cut away, you know, was going to be white. So trying to figure out what I needed to keep raised. And I ended up getting an X-Acto knife to help me with some of the details because it's just such a small area. And I also grabbed some tweezers a little bit later because I was having a hard time getting the linoleum out after I was carving it. this tip was just kind of another sharper tip that I could use to kind of cut corners and then kind of slice on the bottom, kind of like you would, I don't know how to explain the cut, but basically it helped me with the details. And I can see the value having two of these tools, these handles, to quickly work and not have to keep changing the tips. Like, I totally could see. I'm wondering if they sell just the handles and not the tips. So I don't know. If I do another one of these things, I might get one more handle just because it would be nice to have a couple different tips. Oh, see, I had to move my hand again. And I didn't show all the circle things because that was making me dizzy during editing. So I was like, oh my gosh, this might make someone dizzy. So I left that out. And you'll see I actually went too deep in some places. And I figured that would happen probably in my first time. So then you'll see here the Speedball ink. I couldn't decide between turquoise and black, but I did the turquoise, and it would be really fun to actually make like a really dark blue. So I might play with like mixing black and turquoise together. I'm not sure if they have like an indigo ink, maybe online. They did not have it at the Hobby Lobby I was at. Basically, I just stick some of this ink on my mat and then I warm it up with the brayer. And this is just a little baby brayer that I had at home. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to use what I have. I don't want to buy a brayer too. And I forgot to mention that the ink, I think it was around $5 or something like that. You just basically put the ink on the Lino cut. And then you place your paper carefully on top without moving it and then kind of burnish it. And there's the reveal. I was pleasantly surprised with how this turned out. Again, you'll notice that it is the same image as the art I did in my journal and the art that I did on the paper bag. It's really neat because after you do that proof print, you can kind of see where you want to cut other things away. So I just did that and then wiped off my tool after cutting just so that there won't be paint dried on the tool. Try a second time to see how it looks. I hope you enjoyed this video of my first Lino cut. I love y'all and I hope y'all have a wonderful and blessed week. Bye.